Hey guys, I'm Miles Landrem, chef and co-owner of Johnny Sanchez restaurant in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm a 2001 graduate of St. Stanislaus High School in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Brothers of the Sacred Heart, congratulations on 200 long years of service and mentoring lots of individuals. I was more than honored when you guys reached out to see if I would participate in a dinner like this to celebrate such a milestone. So tonight I'm going to do a great rendition of a whole roasted red snapper. So we've got this beautiful red snapper from the Gulf of Mexico, right basically in the front yard of St. Stanislaus. And then we're going to do a bunch of fresh local vegetables and ingredients, and then we're going to tie in lots of Mediterranean flavors, some nice white wine, good olive oil. And we're going to roast this thing whole. I'm probably going to serve it over some rice. That's what I like to do, but you can do anything. This is one of my favorite things to do, and I'll show you how to do it. All right, so what we're doing here is a simple preparation. We're the star of the show is the red snapper, so we're not going to do anything to sort of really cloud that up and overshadow. No rights and wrongs. You can clearly use any ingredients you can get your hands on. We're going to do peppers, some heirloom tomatoes, different little olives, some fennel, shallot, garlic, herbs, and citrus. So that's sort of the idea. So I'm just going to sort of layer this pan with all these different things. So I've sort of pre-chopped some fennel. The idea is to sort of cut everything about the same size so it all cooks the same. You don't want a big chunk of this or a little chunk of that because something might burn or something might not cook all the way through. So just a nice little, I've got some beautiful heirloom tomatoes we got at the farmer's market this morning. So we're just going to sort of lay these down in the pan. I'm going to take some olives. So I've got two different types of olives. I've got some black olives and some really nice green olives. So I've taken these, I've pitted them. Green olives, again, were a little bit bigger than the black olives, so I sliced those in quarters. We're just going to throw these down, into the pan. And just basically make this really beautiful little bed of ingredients to put this snapper right on top of. I'm going to chop up some garlic, just really nice and thin. Chop some garlic up really nice and thin, sort of layer that in there as well. A couple cloves, nothing too much. And again, we're just going to fan these out. Just little slices. You could chop it up. You could use a little garlic crusher if you preferred. We're just going to throw those right in there. Now what we're going to do to this is basically take some really good olive oil. You could use blended oil. You could use canola oil, but I always prefer to use something really nice. So this is a little Pacific Coast olive oil. We're going to basically just put a generous amount of that because why not? Nice little pinch of salt, some black pepper. I like a little red chili flake as well, so I'm going to put a couple little pinches of that in there. If you don't really like heat, you definitely don't have to do that. Herbs, always love a little fresh thyme. And for this particular dish, I just like the flavors of some fresh oregano. I'm just going to pick a few leaves. Definitely don't want those stems in there for either one of these. The thyme, I'm just going to go straight into the pan. The oregano, I might either tear or sort of slice up. I'm just going to give it a little rough chop. And it's not a bad idea to sort of toss this, grab a spoon, sort of give this a stir, just to make sure that seasoning is sort of evenly distributed. And that olive oil is actually tossed on these ingredients. So How does that look? Next, little French white wine, a little Sancerre. So obviously if you're using white wine or any wine for that matter, definitely use something you want to drink because you know you don't want to use cheap wine. So I'm just going to put about a cup of this right over these little ingredients. And what this is going to do is basically when this fish steams, this wine is going to reduce. All these vegetables are going to cook down in that wine, and the drippings from the fish are going to become a beautiful sauce. Let me clean this up a little bit and I'll show you the next step. All right, so bed of ingredients are basically ready to roll. We're just going to get this fish prepped and we're going to put that right on top into the oven. Fish, that's the most important part of the dish. So we're going to basically find the best quality fish we can get our hands on. So this thing was, super fresh. Caught this probably a couple days ago, maybe yesterday. If you can't find snapper, anything you get your hands on in your market, striped bass, speckled trout, redfish, anything like that. Key is to finding good fish. Smell, clarity of the eyes, gills, but super, super fresh. And what we've done is basically just scaled this and gutted it. So now we're going to take this fish. I like to score it just a couple times. You basically you don't want to go all the way down, but you basically want to do about 3 or 4 sort of half an inch little slices down. What this does is actually allows flavors to seep in as it's cooking. Also allows it to cook more evenly, and just gives you a better all-around finished product. So you could do hash marks if you wanted. I just like doing a couple little slices, probably 4 down each side, depending on the size. Definitely do that to both sides. And then we're basically just going to sort of stuff it with all these beautiful aromatics. So also, just like anything else, you definitely want to season inside and out. So always put a little salt and pepper on the inside. I'll get the pepper in there later. What we're going to do next is basically slice up. We've got all these herbs. I'm going to take another little piece of shallot. Just slice those really thin. I'm going to cut those really quickly. Just a few. I'm going to take some lemon. This is Meyer lemon from Blackman's Parish. I'm going to take a few of these. Just slice them pretty thin. Seeds in there are fine. You're just going to sort of stuff the cavity with these. So 3 or 4 slices of that. Any kind of little orange you can get your hand on. Those are beautiful as well. Another 2 or 3, 4 of those. So basically I'm going to layer these just like this. I'm going to go straight into the cavity. Also going to make sure I get a good little bit of olive oil in there. Again, this is really nice olive oil, extra virgin, so that's just gonna allow the fish to cook, but it's also gonna add a lot of flavor. I'm gonna throw some shallots in there as well. The fronds from the fennel. A lot of times you see fennel in the grocery store or the market. It comes with the long fennel fronds attached. Definitely get those if you can, because they're great for stuff like this. Stuff those right in there. A little bit of oregano, and that's perfect. See that? And garlic, actually, I forgot the garlic. So I'm gonna throw I sliced up 1 little clove of garlic really thin in there as well. So those are gonna permeate from the inside and just get those flavors all through that flesh. It's gonna be delicious. Again, on the outside, we're also gonna do a good bit of olive oil. Just all over that whole fish. It's actually gonna allow that to sort of really get nice and crispy and golden. Generous amount of salt and pepper on both sides. I'll flip it over and do it one more time. All we're going to do here is basically position this fish right on top of this beautiful bed of different fresh ingredients. And we're gonna throw that in the oven and just let it do its thing. Probably a fish this size, about 2 pounds, is gonna be in the oven for about probably about 25, 30 minutes. I'm gonna do this on a high temp too, so this probably about 425, 435 for about 20. Let's start with 20 minutes and we'll see what it looks like. All right, so our fish is ready. It's been in for about 25, 26 minutes. Nicely cooked. You can tell it's cooked through, and you can still see that white wine and olive oil and sort of the drippings from the pan have actually, there's a decent amount of that at the bottom of the plate. So what I really prefer to do this in this preparation is actually to take some rice. So here I've done like a little pilaf style, basmati or jasmine rice, or you could do anything you really want. But I just think it really goes well with all this. So I'm gonna take some of this, put that down on the plate. There's a few ways you could do this. You could do this as a part of a bigger presentation with different sides and mains, and but just a simple little beautiful seafood dish. I like to do a little rice. And then I like to sort of take this fish out of the pan onto the rice, and I'm gonna put this pan back on the stove for just a couple minutes with some butter and sort of make a little sauce out of it. So very gently, I'm just gonna pick this thing up. And you don't have to do it this way if it's too much, but I think it's great. So make sure it's not sticking. If you can, in all one piece, just sort of get that like that. And then you see, so a few of these ingredients on the outside are a little more charred than others. So I'm just gonna sort of stir all that in together. I'm gonna put this back on the stove for just a couple minutes. If you'd like to walk over here and see what I'm doing. I'm gonna put this over sort of medium-high heat. I'm gonna simmer this for about 2 to 3 minutes. While this is coming up, I'm gonna take a little bit of butter. You always want your butter cold. You don't want to put melted butter or something like warm butter into a hot pan like that. It's just gonna get really greasy. But if you take nice cold cubed butter, 2, 3, 4 pieces, throw that in. About 4 or 5. We're celebrating 200 years, so I'm gonna let that simmer and just sort of stir in. While that's all coming together, I'm gonna come back over here really quickly, chop up some fresh herbs. So I'm gonna take a little more of our beautiful basil, oregano, and then I've actually still got some of those fennel fronds left over, so I'm gonna throw some of those down in there too. It's amazing what a few herbs to finish a dish can really do. Also some fresh lemon, and where's some oregano? Some oregano. Take some of these green onions. Just gonna throw a few of these right into the pan as that's finishing. A few more right on top. I'm gonna take the basil and the oregano. Together with some of these fennel fronds. I'm just going to sort of give those a rough chop. You don't want to mash those up too much. So that's our finished dish. You can see this is starting to simmer, and as it simmers, this butter is melting into it, and it's not. That butter's just sort of dissolving, stirring right in. And you obviously don't have to put this over the fish for ease of serving. If you're serving a lot of people, you could even do portions of snapper or something like that. But I really like for the wow factor to sort of just spoon this a little bit right over the top of that snapper. Just make sure you get a little bit of everything. You don't have to go overboard, but some of those nice tomatoes and fennel, olives. Nice little handful of those fresh herbs. A nice squeeze of lemon. So there you have it. Very family style, but very beautiful and delicious preparation of a Gulf fresh red snapper. So brothers, take your heart. Congratulations, bon appetit, and cheers to another 200 years.